when you think sabotage, it can sound like, yo, it's impossible. How could I stand in my own way?
Yeah.
But maybe if we like just look at a little bit of what could be happening, and that's why the idea you're going to be curious about it. When we are curious about that, often we find behind the sabotage is a fear. Is a fear. You are sabotaging as a way of protecting something. If I actually succeed, this is scary, right?
Yeah.
This is scary. I could actually succeed. I can actually get what I want. And if I've never experienced something like that, it's comfortable to be in the place that I know. It's comfortable. I know how to struggle in Mhlambe. I know what it's like not to have.
Yeah.
And I've found ways to be here. I have friends here. We have a shared experience of not having. We all know what struggle is or whatever the thing is. So the idea of I could actually leave this position. I could actually have the love of my life and enjoy myself in this relationship. I can actually be happy.
Hey there, family. Hey there, family. Welcome back to Isialo Overflow. It's me again, Jabulani Nogamthombeni, behind the mic. And I have, as promised, Dr. Phethile Zitha with us. This is quite important. I think we feel this is one of the most important conversations a family can have or a person can have, and that is why we are bringing it to you responsibly. We're trying so. But yeah, I ever wonder why you keep getting in your own way? I mean, like, even if you know better, you just keep getting in your own way. Or sometimes the nagging feeling that something is holding you back from your true potential, or it might. And so we are suggesting to say perhaps it might be self-sabotage. And I think I want to underline self-sabotage. Nobody's sabotaging you. Even though we are going to dive deep into some of these things that might cause that, but we will take it very slow. We have to give the framework, and help most of these people uncover, or most of us to uncover, even us. I mean, I think there's even us as who are speaking about this, we still have hidden cycles of thought, and I think it's a never-ending journey. But if you often feel like you're constantly repeating the same arguments or facing the same struggles, maybe even as your parents did, and you see that as you reflect, you're at the right place. This is where we're going to try and uncover that and go through that in details. Dr. Phethile Zitha.
Yeah, boy.
This is the first time I call you Dr. Phethile
Yes, it's
Zitha.
the first time I'm being called. No, okay, maybe first time I'm being called in a public platform.
Yes, we bag it.
Yes, it's official.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's a heavy subject.
Yes.
It's a heavy subject.
Did we not touch on it last time? What did we talk about last time?
We talked about last time we covered breaking generational patterns.
Oh, sorry, yes.
But we're speaking of, of it as a holistic view. We just, touched on some of those things, but we're never really dived into the aspects of patterns, or how we did equip whoever is listening on how to identify those patterns. And if you weren't here last time, I'll put the link up here in the description. You can just check it out first. And if you haven't subscribed, please help us grow. Dr. Pezzi, only 40% of people who watch every video are subscribed to us. And guys,
Oh,
it's
wow.
important. You have to subscribe. Don't just watch. Subscribe, like, and share, please. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do we start? Like, this is, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I guess if we link it or try and think about from the last time when we were talking about patterns and what gets passed down, as we were talking, I was thinking, Klampe, even the ways in which we relate in the world, the way we think, that's also something that is passed down or we take on from how we were raised. So I guess that's an important sort of link, Uguti. Even when we think about the idea or the topic self-sabotage, it's I guess, being curious about what actually is happening there. I think that was one of the things that came up last time when we were talking. We would say, instead of just like, oh, this is what we do, like, hi, Sinje,
yeah,
the idea of being curious about why Sinje, where does this come from? What is this actually serving?
yeah,
What purpose does it serve? So in the same way, I guess, the idea, yes, sabotage, self-sabotage is when one notices exactly what you were saying, like a similar sort of pattern, a similar
yeah,
struggle that you keep tripping over. It's to be curious with you. Wait a minute, what is this actually about?
yeah,
What's happening here? What's behind my canceling last minute every time I have to go here, or every time I need to do this,
yeah, yeah.
something happens, or I trip myself in this way. What to sort of dive deep into what could this be about? Why am I doing this?
I can imagine if someone has just landed on this conversation and knows
Yeah.
nothing about what we're talking about, or maybe they think they do, because sometimes we are always in search of, we're always searching for a better way of being. And maybe we think, maybe this is what I have. I had somebody speaking about sabotage or self-sabotage. Can we define it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, definitions are important. I mean, I think I don't have the Oxford English description of it, but uma nje sicabanga, just the two words. It's two words, I guess, self and
and
sabotage.
sabotage.
So
Yeah,
I guess it's the ways in which you yourself hinder yourself. When uzimoshela kanjani, the ways in which you maybe stunt your own growth,
yeah,
stunt your own. It's interesting because you probably have an ambition, you want to do this, and the ways in which you
yeah,
work against yourself
yeah,
in
yeah,
achieving that. And I guess if we think a little bit ngayo, is, when you think sabotage, it can sound like, it's impossible. How could I stand in my own way?
yeah,
But maybe if we just look at a little bit of what could be happening, and that's why the idea you would be curious about it. When we are curious about that, often we find behind the sabotage is a fear. Is a fear. And you are sabotaging as a way of protecting something.
So the mind is protecting you against something that it thinks can harm you.
Perceived harm, yeah.
Yeah.
Perceived harm. If I actually succeed, this is scary, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is scary. I could actually succeed. I can actually get what I want. And if I've never experienced something like that, it's comfortable to be in the place that I know. It's comfortable. I know how to struggle, mhlambe. I know what it's like not to have.
Yeah.
And I've found ways to be here. I have friends here. We have a shared experience of not having. We all know what struggle is, or whatever the thing is. So the idea of I could actually leave this position. I could actually have the love of my life and enjoy myself in this relationship. I can actually be happy. Can be very daunting and scary when that's not the experience you've had for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, as you said, it's a joining of two words. So sabotage, I think it's a military language.
Oh, yeah? That's
Sabotage,
interesting.
yeah. So sort of, I'm in a mission to do something,
And we're going to
and then
intercept.
unexpectedly, someone who knows exactly what we are about to do,
That's
who has
fascinating.
internal information. So let's say there's an informant
Yeah.
that's already. So don't go there. It's sabotage. Like you are being led into slaughter.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, that's the definition of sabotage. And so I think when you say self-sabotage, it's like, because Vela, I already know what I'm planning. I already know where I'm going and what I want to do. And then I in turn destroy that somehow.
And here's the thing to what you're saying. It's almost, there's somebody who is an insider, but you are, what's the word? Nonetheless, what do they, like you are unaware, right?
Oh yeah.
So even when it's self-sabotage, unconsciously you are doing that, but you're not consciously aware. So it still feels like a surprise. It still feels like, geesh, what happened here? Whatever. You're not aware of the ways in which you trip yourself.
You trip yourself.
It's unconsciously, I guess, there.
Crazy. Look,
Until someone points it out, but you do this all the time. You say this, and when you say that, this is what happens, and then this whole thing falls apart, and you're like, "Whoa, okay." So often we're not aware of the ways in which we stand in our own way.
Yeah. I think as we were speaking before having this conversation, we imagined the many ways that this conversation could go wrong.
Yeah.
We imagined how media and podcasters and many people sort of weaponize some of what we're speaking about to create animosity within families and stuff like that. And I think it's important for us to have, or for whoever's watching to have a view of how the term in itself is embodying you. Like, this is who you are and this is what you do. It has more to do with what you do than what others do. And we have a responsibility, I mean, to be compassionate, to care about those we live with, particularly in a family setting. I'm thinking of my own experience where, as we go to school, we are exposed to different people from different spaces, and certain things are new. Like, I didn't know this existed. Like, I didn't know there was fathers who do that for their children. Like, this is out of this world. They fetch you every day, dude. Like, what? What is that? How does he manage to do that? And all of those. So we then see things that are new to us, and so I think what we're saying is that instead of, we don't want to have the mind that then starts to say, why can't you do this? Why didn't you do this for me? When,
to our parents,
to our parents, to our friends, to our brothers, like other, there's a language, abanye abantwana, like,
abanye bona banayo,
yeah,
abanye
other
benze
people have
beso,
that, other people do that. Why not me? And I think that's we want to shy away from that, but we want to say, oh wow, this can happen. I wonder what has hindered it from happening to
me, for me.
for me or for us. And that is the self introspection that we're looking for, and even the heart of compassion for our parents, the generation before. Since we are speaking generational patterns, the generation before, I think very few people interview their parents intentively to check, "Ukhule kanjani? What were your difficulties as a child?
What was childhood like for you?
What are the traumas you went through? What happened to you? What were your fears?" I don't think we do ask those things. So we sort of assume that everyone had an equal chance. Everyone had all of that. I don't know. What can you say to that?
Sure, I think lokho kubalekile. I think you started first by saying the importance of holding and taking seriously what we say and the ways in which we say it and the platforms that we say these things from. Sorry, and just to say that context here, your conversation maybe is what we were talking about earlier, which is the ways in which certain words are used in the public space or public platforms.
Yes.
Like, oh, this person is narcissistic, like loosely used,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
trauma, or even like a sabotage, or
Toxic.
Toxic. This person is toxic. This relationship is everything. These are the buzzwords now. Or and must put boundaries and all of that. And I think the challenge with, there's a good thing, I guess, in a way. It's exciting to see the ways in which the psychology words, or how people are psychologized in a way, if you put it like that, we can name things now and talk about some experiences that perhaps were not easily talked about before.
Yeah.
So on some level, there's a positive there, and I think that's great. It's just often that it can be used as like sound bites, or, it's like, it's like the word and it's ran with quickly without a true understanding of what it actually means. But even more than that, even if people do understand what it means, it's what you were saying, the potential harm that it can do for relationships. If you're going to be calling your parents toxic parents, or mother is narcissistic, when we really, there's a way of defining what narcissism is, a DSM criteria that
and
it's like a diagnostic thing. And, there's things you look for. But and it often is that people use it in ways that entrench their positions. So my mom is wrong and I'm right. My mom is the villain and I'm the saint, without really holding complexity, exactly like what you're saying, which not having holding the history of umama. This is how she grew up. This is how that has informed who she is today and how she interacts with us. She's a human being who has a story, who was a child at some point. She was 3, she was a teenager, she had experiences. So this is a human being that has lived life, and her life informs how she shows up and how she is with me, which of course in turn impacts me and also will affect how I see things. But that we can hold the person in complexity, but also know that there's a dynamic happening between people. So even if you might have an idea that this is how this person is, there's a way you are too. And when those two things, when you interact, it shapes what happens in the relationship. So you both are impacting on each other and influencing how the other person shows up. It's fascinating. You'd find when you interact with this person, they show up in this way with you, but they don't show up like that with other people. So there's something about a dynamic that happens between people that bring up certain parts or certain aspects of ourselves that may not necessarily be brought up when that same person interacts with someone else.
Absolutely.
So I think the idea there is just that when we use these words, and it's the challenge of the platforms, I guess, is that there isn't enough time to really go into topics and explain things in depth and hold complexity in such platforms. So the challenge is like to constantly be thinking, it's to hold complexity, I guess, and think about the ways in which it can potentially be misused. What you're saying could be misused and misunderstood. So the responsibility is on us who are, I guess, talking about these things to, like you're saying, frame it in such a way that helps people understand which there's more to it than perhaps what we are able to cover now, and that what we're covering now doesn't cover all the different ways in which this topic can show up in your family. There's no one size fits all, no one right way. But I guess it's a frame of looking at things and like the word we've been using a lot, just being curious about what's showing up for you, what is that about, what's happening what's happening between people in relationships. I don't know if I've answered it.
No, absolutely. I think it's really important to go through such things because I can bring an example of how that comes to life. for the longest time, I've noticed how when I'm sorry about that,
Yeah.
how how my grandfather is able to satisfy my answers, mostly relating to media, drama, music, and all of that, and
How he's able to
to answer me.
or answer.
Yeah, how he's able to not just answer but go into depth in
Okay.
answering, sort of showing a person who is very very knowledgeable in that space. So it boggled me to say, but how can you have so much information when you are just a pastor? Like you don't I
Just
have I haven't
Kapelum cool.
absolutely, because that's how we see our parents. We assume that we know
Yeah.
them, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. And so one time we were driving along our route. Is it route 62? That's in the Cape Winelands. And so
Nice.
we're driving along there. They had just picked us up, and we're driving along there. And he says, "Oh, I remember this garage. I was once here with Gibson."
Gibson
I'm
Kente.
saying, "Whoa, which Gibson?" No, we give. Uhlangana phi no Gibson? Like, and you're gonna drop this bomb
Just like by the
in the
way.
middle of the people, like when I don't know, like, come on, dude, what happened? And so from there, that point, it's like, I don't like this dude. I mean, I love media and he knows it, and he what? Why is there no any trail that you were there and what? And he just names drop, like. But until I had a conversation later on in life when he says, "Oh well, we actually had my," and he said my touring with my plays. There were plays back then.
Yeah.
Theater was big, and he says my touring was interfering with my marriage,
Wow.
and I was about to get a divorce,
So
and
he was
so
an artist.
yeah, he was an artist, and he said I abandoned my career altogether, and I went to work 9 to 5 so that I can save
Wow.
my marriage. So just there, like how I viewed him before
Has shifted.
has
Yeah.
shifted. I mean, and
You've
this is
added like a dynamic to him that you didn't have before.
that I
So
didn't
he's
have before.
become
And that is what we're talking about. Like it's easy to just say, my mom ukhethe ukuthi angenze so, and this family is toxic. Like these people don't want to grow and all of that. But we spend less time trying to find out where that comes from.
yeah, yeah.
And so I think it was important for us to dive deep into this so that
Yeah.
when we speak about these things, we speak them mindfully. Have compassion towards your family, your friends. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know, and there
Yeah.
could be a lot that you don't know. I mean, I think that's the challenges. There's a lady, she is a writer, Chimamanda. I'm sure you know her work.
Yeah.
She did there's a talk of hers where she talks about the danger of a single story, and it's that when ukuluma about what has been done to you, it's quite one-dimensional, right?
Absolutely.
It's from your perspective.
Yeah.
You did this and you did that, but it's not holding the complexity of the other person who's on the other side of that story
Yeah.
and what they bring with, like, Sisho, their family, their childhood experience, their own stories, and what they carry. So it's when you're holding just one single story of anything, whether it's of a person, of an experience, it's limited. It's not all there is to it, and so I guess that's what we are hoping when this becomes a series, or if this is a series, we're hoping that's what it shows throughout is that things are complex.
They are very complex. Yeah.
It's not just one
Yeah.
thing.
But when you start understanding how to responsibly analyze or how to responsibly introspect and introspect and just look at patterns responsibly, you could be what we hope you should be, a new light, instead of resorting to just pulling away. And I'm not saying some of those things are not needed at times, but I think that would be at the extreme end of it. But we need to ensure that even with that pulling away, it is done so responsibly, with love and compassion, and being able to have that towards your family. And so, yeah.
No, and then it goes back to the thing, which there's no just one size fits all. And often in these conversations, it's like, cut them off, right? Like, pull away, put a boundary.
Yeah, like
If
the
this person
extreme.
does this, it's that. But that's what you're saying, Witsi. It may involve that. In some situations, perhaps you do need to step away, but not all the time.
Not all the time.
Not in all situations for everyone.
Yeah, and in some painful situations are actually there to train you, to help you. You are the toxic one, and because you don't want to admit that I might be toxic, then I'm. It's easy to label somebody else as toxic, and so even in this toxicity, we have to understand that even one of the most healthiest marriages, let's say, have a certain facet or a side of their marriage that they haven't really learned how to balance it, and we can define it toxic. Kodwa, we shouldn't be using that language in that manner. We gauge the toxicity of something, just like we're able to gauge how much alcohol is in a bottle. Gauge it and check, is it healthy for me? Is it, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, where should we go from here? Should we unpack these intentional behaviors, or should we look into, because you mentioned something earlier, you said behind every sabotage there's fear.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's that it's, that could be the way to sort of enter the conversation, I guess. What are some of the fears that people hold, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about, so maybe let me use myself as an example. And
this should be fun.
Expose myself a little bit. Yeah, it should be fun because it's also very fresh. So I was sharing with you to the journey of maybe like studying wasn't just really about studying, but it almost felt like it was a journey into myself. In ways that ways that were quite unsettling a little bit, because I thought I had resolved this one particular aspect. So this is proper self-exposure. I had to right, but I've shared it with friends and whatnot, so maybe it's okay. Let me expose myself a little bit. I had to be part of like a workshop of sorts or something, and you had to write a little bit, not write, you had to prepare written something like maybe 4 or 5 pages of whatever section of the research that I was working on. I did that and then I submitted, but even before I submitted, I was talking to a friend like, oh, I think this is terrible. This is like, I don't think I did enough. I think I just felt like my work was not good enough. And like I felt like I'd misunderstood the call. Like what I put was not what they wanted. It's also something that's an interesting thing, but for another day. But anyway, we spoke about it and I was like, okay, I'm going to send anyway. But then it would be time to present and I was freaking out. And so the sabotage, I guess, at that time was like I decided not to go. like there is no way. Firstly, I knew that what I put together in my head, perceived, it's bad work, it's terrible work. Other people have done better. Secondly, there's no way I can just show up and present. Now I'm really going to be seen like I'm a facade. It's like I'm an imposter, essentially, I guess. Like I shouldn't be doing this work. I shouldn't be here. And I chose not to go. But that night, I guess, before I made the decision, like there was just a lot of sitting and reflecting and thinking about why am I here? Why am I feeling like? So there's a part of me that knew that this is like this feeling that this is not good enough, the work that I did was not good enough, is like, this is madness. Like, girl,
Yeah.
just show up, and what's the worst that could happen? But I was also then, instead of like, at that point, I could see that this is sabotage.
Okay.
But I wanted to understand it a little bit more. Like, why at this point I'm still feeling like what I do is not good enough?
Yes.
What is that about?
What is that about?
Yeah. And so I had to sort of be curious and go deep into that was about. And what was fascinating was that it's not even about what that was about. Of course, was an experience in my early childhood, but it wasn't really linked to schoolwork. You'd think it would be like, oh, maybe, a teacher said, oh,
Yeah.
this was terrible work and whatnot. But it was linked into early relational experiences. Where I felt helpless and I just couldn't. I felt like I'm inadequate in handling an encounter in the family, right? Or a situation that was not, that was scary, that was not good, right? Scary for a little person. And I felt inadequate to handle it. I just didn't have the tools. I didn't know what to do. And so in that time, that experience or that sense of feeling like I don't have what it takes to handle this or to succeed at this. So sometimes, I guess, in a way, self-sabotage looks like that. It's a wound. It's a pain. It's an experience that happened that way that then just shows up unexpectedly when you're supposed to perform and do something, and you're just like, I'm not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And there I did not do the workshop. And I'm for sure I know it sabotaged me, because I could have had an experience with other scholars, other people, and they could have enriched my work and added into my thinking.
Yeah.
I could have done the same, added into their thinking, just had a great time and met people, networked with people from different parts of the world. I did not do that. And that was me standing in my own way. But you see, it's that being curious about it allowed me to see what the origins of that is, at least. That sort of deepened my awareness in that sense. And it was just fascinating to see Ubuti. It's the feeling of that experience early on that was showing up as, oh, you're not good enough, in this instance right now.
And this time around, it was you self-imposing it on yourself.
I was just like, I was saying this work is not good enough, right? I'm not good enough.
I'm picking up something from what you're saying, is that in essence, we can say that you, somewhere in your childhood, because I'm reflecting as well, somewhere in our childhoods, there is something false that would have been said about us, but we believed it, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we really believed it. And some of these things are said carelessly,
or as a joke. Someone did not really mean it, but
and
it landed.
And so because I believe that lie, then it's true about me, even though I'm not consciously or aware of it, but I believe it to be true about me.
Yeah, so it could be things that were said. Often maybe it is like, like Bengishubuti, I would have thought that sense of like feeling not good enough with work, school work or written work would come from school. But that's because often people would say, I was told I could, teachers would tell, when we sleep, I was luto, you can't do this. So maybe you hear that at home. But what is interesting is that it's not only what is said, but it could also come from a feeling, an experience that maybe could be thought of as like a traumatic event. And sometimes it's trauma, not with big trauma like accident or break-in or whatever, but it could be small things like a fight in the home where you feel helpless, like you can't stop your dad from shouting and causing havoc or hitting the table or chasing your mom out, you
Yeah.
feel helpless at like
Helpless.
stopping that kind of situation, and it scares you. You can't stop a parent from drinking, and you see that every time they drink, they get worse and worse and worse, and the situation explodes. Or you can't stop someone from a depressed parent. You can't get them out of their depression, and you are scared for them because you see, the deterioration or what the depression does to them.
Yeah.
And that leaves you feeling helpless and inadequate. So you feel helpless, and then you're like, oh, I'm so, I'm
own the
useless.
situation.
I don't know how to fix this. I can't do anything about this. So that feeling of inadequacy shows itself up in your work, shows itself up in your relationships and other ways. So that's, sometimes it's not even from what is said, but it's from the experience you've experienced, the feelings that come from that. The feelings evoked by those experiences. That's exactly what you're saying. You've experienced, you've internalized, and then you make perhaps a false belief is formed from that.
Yeah.
Oh, I am inadequate. I don't know how to work things out. I don't know how to.
So being unaware, then you act on that.
You act on it.
You act on it, and of course, I think then
you don't take on jobs, you don't take on roles, you don't take on offers that you're given because, no, I can't do that.
Yeah. And I see, and of course, then I would have to justify it.
Yeah.
I'd have to find a way to justify it. And even when people ask me, but you could do this, but why didn't you do it? I have to find a way to try and justify it.
Could be anything.
And I mean, justifying is just pulling a hang out of and
just
really
anything,
molding into being what you need to be. I was reflecting, and I think maybe instead of valid, we can just try and explore this way of helping whoever's watching to see what, as we go through the definitions. I mean, self-sabotages happen kancane and we don't see them, but as they add up, then it's either I'm constantly binding myself to a certain standard or a certain place and whatever. I think one of the things that I've never shared.
It's a safe space. I've shared, so you can share.
It's not a safe space, and I know it. You can shame me in the comments. It's okay. I'm waiting for it. When I was in high school, really, this is where I felt it. Look, I could be an A student, and I was for most of the primary and higher primary in the beginning of high school. But what I then quickly realized was that because of home, the dynamics at home, I sort of did feel as I think differently. Nobody understands me. Ubuza kakhulu, like, hey, who even thinks of such things? Like, hey, when you're weird, and all of those things. So then that leads me to feeling somewhat isolated in a way. And so I'm needing of community and to be embraced. And high school sort of provided that for me. I met similar minded brothers who seemed
asking the same kind of questions.
Yeah, they ask the same kind of, but the thing is that once you find that, you want more. It's no longer enough. Like you wonder how it is to be the guy that can relate to everybody.
Yeah.
And I did that, and so this is where it was killing me. I could no longer be an A student because that in itself separated me from the very people who are willing to welcome me. So meaning that when it was easy, I mean, it was relatively easy for me, and I felt guilty that it's easy for me. I don't need to take notes, but so many people are struggling in front of me, and you can imagine. I tried to help. I tried this. I tried that, but then I end up sort of averaging, letting it go. Like, Now I'll see the test when it comes, because this is how most of the people who give you a sense of family think, and not knowing which one they are influenced by, their family dynamics and so forth. So that's stuck, because even now comes I'm a metric. I my mom is gonna see this.
Sorry, I was unconscious.
Yikes.
Actually.
I remember when I was writing my mathematics paper 2, I did not prepare. It was bash after bash, and I'm sure some of my family don't even know that I was sneaking out to go to bashes.
Good job. Yeah.
And so I was literally babalast in that paper. As a result, I got mathematics, I think, was it an E or something like that? On high grade back then, so I
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
high
yeah.
grade student, and then I got an E. My teacher was so disappointed in me.
Because you knew what you
Yeah, he knew
could
which
do,
I
you knew you
could.
could do better. Yeah.
Yeah, so but at the end, I mean, it was still an exemption at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Because I think what mattered was just get an exemption, no matter which way, how. So you would structure the subjects. So it's okay. I have this
Yeah.
on high grade,
Yeah.
this on standard. If I can just get a pass, then I'm good. One distinction is okay. So 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 I'm saying I self-sabotage myself even after, well after matric, when you said being afraid of being successful, that was me. Like, I would start a project, push it, and just when it's about to break, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, but it's sure fascinating what you're saying, Oba. It makes me think about like behind behind that kind of action, there was a need, right? And the need for a 16, 17-year old is to belong,
Yeah,
is to be part of
or
something.
something.
I mean, I think that it is a human need. We all want to belong, and that's why families are so powerful,
Yeah,
because you want to be part of
of
something.
something. Yeah.
So you sabotaged, if we're using that word, you played your abilities down. You
Yeah.
played down your abilities so that you do not stand out, and so you are not welcomed or are not part of.
Yeah.
So behind that action, it was Moshela, was a need to belong, to be part of something.
Absolutely.
You know, the fear of being out was actually because you had a strong need of being part of, based on your early experience, like what you
Yeah.
were sharing with,
Yeah.
like, "Ay, kanti unjani lo? Why you hlukile wena? Just be like other
Yeah.
children. Why are you asking so many questions?"
Yeah.
And so now it's like, why are you getting A's? Why are you
Yeah.
the
How are you
smartest
doing
one?
it?
Why?
Like,
How? And that makes you feel like already that puts me as an out, right? And so and so it's back to the curiosity about why I do what I do.
yeah.
What's the need? What is it serving? So that we don't just do things. We never do things for no reason, right?
Yeah.
There's a motivation behind it. There's something that it serves, and yeah, it was to belong, to be part of, and a lot of us do that. We let go of certain things, let go of certain values, because I don't want to be
Yeah.
outed by my friends or not be part of something.
So that's some of the subtle ways in
Yeah,
which we could find ourselves in a loop that sort of keeps us maybe bound. And I think even in relationships we see
yeah,
that. Even
yeah.
in relationships, I think we see that. I remember Jola. I once asked a girl out. She was beautiful. Before I had a child and all of
Yeah,
that. Um,
during your young days.
yeah, and she said, "No, that's you just lying. That's not true."
You don't find me attractive.
No, no,
She's
no,
saying.
no.
She
She
says what
she's
you're
she
lying
says she's
about.
not beautiful. I'm
Oh,
lying. She ain't beautiful.
wow.
I just wanna,
You have other motives.
yeah, I have
Yeah.
other motives. And I'm like, no, 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 I mean it. I mean you're beautiful. And she says, no, nah, no, dude, look, you can be honest that this is what you
Yeah.
want.
It's
But
crazy, right?
don't
Like
and then what at
that
that
you can
time
be
it's
so
there.
convinced. Yeah.
But now that we're speaking about this, I'm thinking, yo, we believe certain things about us, and and I can see how. Well, I don't know what happened to her, but I'm thinking, Uguti, one of the possibilities are her husband came and she rejected the husband because she doesn't believe that she can be loved in a way.
Yeah. But it's just insane how powerful the mind is, right? Like
Yeah,
we create the reality
yeah,
with our minds and our beliefs. Like she's convinced she's not beautiful,
yeah,
like absolutely convinced. She doesn't see it. Um, even when others see it, right? And it can be anything. It's you're beautiful, you're smart,
yeah,
you can be successful, this thing is a good idea, whatever that you just like push away. But what I also think is interesting, and it's connected to what you shared of your example, and I guess it's linked to this example, yeah, this young lady, is also that and so we stop ourselves from experiences that could help us. But if you think about mhlampe, us as Black people, I find this fascinating, is our fear of success or economic success.
yeah,
It's also interesting that sometimes I think there's a fear that if I make it, I'm going to be on my own. I
yeah,
leave behind. If I'm the only, if I make it and I'm successful,
yeah,
I I sort of I remove, and it's interesting because often people do move from where we grew up and come from. When you
yeah,
make it, the trend is that you leave, you
yeah,
move, right?
yeah,
And so the, I mean, I think that's something I find fascinating, and maybe could, I'm sure there's work, maybe somebody has done research on that or work on it. But I find interesting when you were talking about, like, yeah, the fear of letting things be successful and connected to your need for belonging and being part of. Like,
yeah.
if I'm successful, is the fear that I'm going to be on my own and I'm going to leave behind, you know, the
I mean,
people that
look
I
at
know care.
firstborns, for instance. There would be certain words, and I know Uti abantu abadala, they don't really say these words to harm or to
With the intention of
with the
harming,
intention
yes.
of binding you, but they might say something like, "Our hope is now in you." Okay, and when you look at the
Yeah.
situation, you think we are entrenched in poverty. The need here is bread. Okay, so how I look at it is, if I go to university, the time in which I'm away, there'll be hunger in the home.
Yeah.
So instead of pursuing my dreams, then I'll just go look for a
Find
job,
work.
you know.
Find work.
And there's a trap there, because I mean, if someone says, and I want to introduce a new way of we now entrust in you, like to say, if okay, let's see, you trust you putting all your hope in me, okay, then I have a responsibility to think along the sides of the long game here, to say, okay, they
Long
trust me.
term.
All
Yeah.
right, then because I'm entrusted with this, I choose to put a 5 year, 6 year sacrifice so that I can truly make that kind of a change. But when I was researching, I found something called, or it's named, the good child trap.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how it was framed when I was reading is that when loyalty to family expectations outweighs
Your
your
own.
own personal dreams,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's also a way of sort of hindering yourself from growth.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you will see that even early on, like, I mean, or maybe let me start it this way. I think the good child is part of a system, right? The good child is a good child and is in that role as part of a family sort of unit or system. And everybody in a family, when we think about systems and just how group works, groups in general, but families work as a system. There's like everyone has a role, everyone moves in a particular way because it helps the family move and grow and do what the family needs to do. So everyone gets sort of given or takes on a role in the family system. So the good child is taken on the role of being the good child, and they play that role in whatever way. But what is also interesting is often when we take on these roles, of course, it plays a function, serves a function in the family, but also thinking about the function that it plays for. So I guess I'm thinking about where we started off, like this idea of belonging and being part of. If you want, we all have a basic need of being in relation. Relationships matter. We need to survive. I am because you are, isn't it? Isintu, ubuntu. There is no, in psychology, one of the theorists Winnicott talks about, there's no baby without a mother. So relationships are central, are important. That's how we survive and live in the world. And so the relationship need surpasses the need to connect and be in relation is an important need. And so if I have to be a good child, to stay connected, to belong, to be part of, to be in relation, I will be. So we take on whatever role sorry.
There's no knock. I think it's wind.
What's happening? There's somebody on the other side. We take on whatever function, role, in service of, because I want to be connected. And so if I have to be the good child to keep this relationship, I will be the good child. If I have to take on the role of parenting all my other siblings, because I'll be seen and I'll stay connected to my parents or my mom or whoever, I'll be part of something. When I do this, that's what I will do. We want and need to belong and be part of something. And so we take on whatever role that helps us meet those needs, that helps to move the system and the family along.
I'm picking up something there. So even in marriages, we can assume roles that are painful to us because it helps this system work. And deep inside, this is what I want. Deep inside, I want to be something other than what I am.
But I don't want to be the peacemaker all the time. But stay there. It keeps us together when you do that.
Man.
But it keeps us together, but maybe it doesn't keep us together in ways that are healthy or helpful for us. But also even interesting is the problem is when you are stuck in that role. And often in families, we do get stuck in one role. We see you as the peacemaker. We see you as the good child. We see you as the loqala impi, the rebel rouser, or the sabotager, or whatever. The different roles. The challenge is when vele you are fixed in that role, that there isn't movement. Sometimes I can be the peacemaker, you can be the whatnot, and it moves around. The problem is that we keep fixed in that, and that's what can feel like stifling or limiting. Like you are only this all of the time.
And because we are interdependent, then even when I try to wiggle out of this role,
we'll keep you there.
it's familiar for the next person. Right. So then it's hard for me to move because my partner expects me to be
there.
this.
I need you to be this.
It's the same. It's one of the things that we spoke about in the previous video, which I'll link up in the description, that because I know, let's say, marriage to be like this, then I expect my partner to play a certain role. And Utoluguti, that role is suffocating them. But they have to stay there because this is how it should work. Like, it doesn't work any other way. And so I see how if now we remove if we take the perspective of the person who is stuck in the role. It's an issue of saying I could be progressing, but somehow I keep making these decisions that hinder my progress. It could be, let's say, a promotion at work that involves traveling or that involves moving
Yeah.
to another city. But I
we,
keep
but we
turning
need you
these things
here.
down.
Yeah, we need you here because you are my sounding board. Let's take that as a role. I'm the mother. Who am I going to talk to? Maungeko.
Yeah.
My mom will fall apart, or
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that you make every decision sort of, I guess, is made with having influenced by that kind of role. I can't do this. I can't be angry. There's no room for me to be angry because I'm the peacemaker, right? I can't have a view. I hold the peace and I must make peace with everyone. But there's nobody ever thinks about what are you feeling?
Yeah.
Where are you with this?
Yeah.
But my task is to keep everybody at peace.
I think I want us to end this segment here. Maybe we can do a follow-up segment.
Yeah.
But this one, for the sake of time and equipment, let's end it here. And yeah, we'll follow it up. We'll follow it up.
Yeah.
We'll follow it up. We'll see what we can do. But I want to say that the issue here is that the expectations of the system around you outweigh your dreams. And this is the thing, is that there's no one who does not want to pursue their dreams. Nobody does not want to be happy or joyful or succeed, or whatever the term would be there. How do I resolve this in my heart or in my mind or in my thought process? How do I replace? Is there a technique or techniques that I could use to sort of, now that I've analyzed and I've found out, okay, so I'm staying here because the system requires me to stay here, not necessarily that I want to stay here. Having been considerate, like we urged everyone to be, and compassionate with the people around you, but how do I then get on from there?
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I think the understanding, it's something you said when you were when you were talking earlier, just now, about, the system. You said it keeps you, you said what? The system outweighs your dreams or something.
Yeah, the needs of the family outweighs your
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's a line that I guess sort of just hit me when you said that, because it's like, sure. And that can feel burdensome, like, and like you have to sacrifice yourself and die. And often, I mean, I think I'm a firstborn, often feel that way.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And I'm a firstborn, I think, in our homes and Black families. And partly that has to do, I guess, with our history. That sort of limited the development and progression of Black people, such that if one makes it, one must make it for all of us. Hold everybody, because the opportunities were limited for so many, only few could get in, and so the burden was huge. But I mean, I think, so when we understand how systems work, it's exactly like what you're saying. We can hold compassion, and understand, we were all just trying to survive, and everybody's just trying to progress and leave. Everybody in the system, in the family, is trying to survive and make do with whatever is presented where we find ourselves. So you don't take it personally, like, mina nje, I'm not, people don't want me to succeed, or like as if it's an attack on you. So you realize that the behaviors are not by you, but are shaped by just many other things, the history of where our parents come from, the context of where we find ourselves, the conditions of where we find ourselves in economic, just the social conditions in which we live under. So there's many things impacting on how the family moves and shapes itself, whatever experiences that would have happened, traumas and all of those things. So you firstly understand that this is not, it's not personal. It's not an attack on you, which I think it's helpful when we can think of it in that way. And then, like Sisho, you could also then now, when you have that understanding that's not personal, and you have compassion, and you can be curious about what actually is happening, who's playing what role. I do this, but somebody else is doing something which benefits me too.
Yeah.
Everybody's benefiting from what everyone is doing, and in similar ways, people are being affected differently by what you do, by what they do. So you can now, even when you enforce the boundaries, say you decided, I mean, I'm not always going to be the savior like I. You can enforce those with compassion, you know, and understanding. Sure, I hear that you feel this way, Mama, and I see where you're coming from, but this doesn't work for me in this way because of that, you know. So you could have conversations. So I think it opens up that opportunity or the space for talking a little bit more about the dynamics that you're picking up. You know, when this happens, it makes me feel this way. When you guys do this in this way, this is what happens. I do this, and then this is what, you know. So you can sort of, because you've been curious and have a little bit more understanding, can talk about it in ways that allow for something to be named of what's happening in the system. And so that also when you then, that also then empowers you to move differently, to act differently. Like Nisha, when you're enforcing or setting some of those, like, no, I can't do that, or I'm not able to be here in this way, you can make some of those changes. And when you change, the system changes.
The system
That's
has to
the other thing
adapt.
that's quite hopeful and helpful, is that it doesn't have to be like that all the time. When you start pulling away or moving differently, it affects other parts too. Everybody's going to move differently. It may not always be pretty or nice, or you know, people may resist. Often people will resist when you change. And why are you doing that? And so it's also about like being prepared for that and surviving that kind of resistance and expecting it, because you unraveling things and changing things that have seemed to work for the longest of time, and people will be unsettled and upset by that. So you understand that they will be upset, but that there's an opportunity to rework things, reconfigure, reimagine, and reimagine it in ways that are hopefully helpful for everyone, and allows everyone to grow and heal.
Wow. That's one of the best places to end this for this purpose. I just wanna say, have compassion over your family and your people,
and yourself.
I think forgive yourself also for some of the decisions that you have made. And changing is not easy. You are going to default. You are going to default, and so have compassion even on yourself when you do, to say no. It's a journey. I'm learning new ways to do this.
Like last time, what did we talk about? The pathways, the neuro stuff. So you're creating a new path. So it's going to be hard. It's not easy, but it's doable.
Yeah, man. But thank you so much, Dr. Petty. This is going to be a 2-part series, so hang in there. Thank you. Subscribe, like, and share. We love you.